And so there are different types of rights. We have the moral right, legal rights. Moral rights are the rights that are derived from morals, right? They are not here right now. Legal rights are the ones that are given by law. We're going to see all of that. But in line with the United Nations Universal Declaration of Human Rights and also the International Convention for Civil and Political Rights and that of Economic, Social, and Cultural Rights, and also the African Charter for Human and People's Rights that was adopted in 1981. This is 1981 right here. These are the six types of rights. We have the civil rights, we have the political rights, we have the economic rights, we have the social rights, cultural rights, and then group rights. So let's go over them one after the other. Civil rights, they are the rights that guarantee equal participation in the society, right? No matter your field, no matter your color, no matter your gender, no matter your religion, you have equal participation to things that you want to participate in your society. So if you want to worship any god or worship no god at all, you have a right to. So you have the freedom of religion is here, freedom of association is here, that of employment, voting, though we are going to see that these classifications of rights are they also interlap at some point. But civil rights basically guarantee your equal participation in societal issues, right? So that we don't have a situation whereby we say Christians can speak out, Muslims can speak out, Hindus cannot, atheists cannot. Once you are a person in the society, you are free to interact. That is what civil, from the word civility, so that you can be able to do what civil people can do. You should be able to move civilly around your society and not with fear or what have you. And then we move on to political rights. Now, political rights are rights that ensure your political participation in the society. They tend to protect your political participatory rights. So, if you want to be voted for, if you want to vote for someone, if you want to speak on governmental issues, if you want to maybe be an activist on political matters, whatever you want to take on governmental positions, appointments, and things like that. These rights come under here. It's a conglomeration of rights that protect activities in this era. Economic rights, just from the word economy, it tends to ensure that people can freely, or it tends to protect your right to economic entitlements, money, or means of making that money. So that once you are done studying, you would not say that for them to employ you, you have to be a certain from a certain group of people. The base or the minimum requirement for employment should be the same for everyone so that everyone has a right to work. So you don't see minimum requirements for employment being things like you must be white, you must be black, you must be, you must be of a certain class, rich or poor, or things like that. It is basically the qualifications that are required for you to do the job. So you must be an adult, you must have certain qualifications in tech, in law, in medicine, things like that would affect you in the job and not things that are based off of discriminatory standards. So you see people who pursue civil actions against discriminatory standards of work. So if an employer says that their conditions for employing anyone must be that you will be black or white or tall, in to some extent, those are discriminatory. Except your whiteness or your blackness is important in that field. For instance, there are like BET, Black Entertainment Television. You would already know that from the name that it is for blacks. So most of the time, their show hosts are blacks, their moderators, their directors, their engineers. These things are done for blacks. So in that particular instance, one may say, okay, your skin color is a determinant to do this job. Now you also have some other areas where other restrictions can be. But in exception of outside of all of these, your color, your religion should not matter. Okay. Of course, if you want to work in a church, they will definitely tell you that you should be Christian. You want to work in a mosque or you want to work in a Muslim association, they will tell you, religion becomes a standard of employment. So, except all of that, these other things should not be standard. So, economic rights tends to protect your rights to work and then your right to be paid fairly. Okay, so under economic rights, we also have the right to trade unionism, activism, and things like that to pursue your equal wage or fair wage, right? Now you have social rights. The basis of social rights is simply to allow people to have. It is a right that tends to protect your standard of living. It focuses on your standard of living, that you do not live beneath the acceptable standard for human beings, so that you don't live like animals. So that's why you have some societies, there is a right to housing enforceable, but though there are still homeless people all over the world. Now there is right to education, because it is believed that if you are educated enough, you can turn your life around for good. There is right to dignity. Dignity ensures that you are treated like a human being and not below the standard for humans. There is right to healthcare and other similar rights that focuses on promoting the standard of living for human beings and not to make you feel lesser of a person. Now, this differs from civil rights because civil rights focuses on equal access to things, while this focuses on ensuring that your right to be treated like a human being is protected. Now, sometimes I will talk about it later, that there is a fusion of these rights. Sometimes economic rights can also become social rights, because in fact, that is a concept called indefis- indivisibility of human rights, right? Professor Oberi would always speak on this, that if you are speaking on rights to life, right, which is a social right, but you also find out that right to life also plays a role in civil rights and economic rights, because if a person has life but doesn't have the means to make that life worthwhile, then the right to life means nothing. So you see persons who live under the bridges, who live on homeless streets in New York and other places and other parts of the world. Homeless, living close to the garbage, living close to dump sites, things like that that are beneath humanity. But they have a right to life. You can't hurt them. You cannot hurt them. You can't take away their life. But then economic rights are zero. So you see that to get, if you have one right, or to make one right, to make one right valuable, you need other rights. So if you have a right to life, you need right to healthcare, so that that life can be of quality. If you have right to life, you need right to education, so that your life can be worth the while, right? So every right is a little bit that there is a fusion of these rights, because one right aids the other, and the absence of one right may make the other right almost useless. Okay, so we have cultural rights. Cultural rights are the rights that allow people to preserve and protect their cultural identities. So you have people in the Native Americas having a different culture, their right to all of that. Then there is this thing I hear of the haka, the haka dance. Now, if you come to Nigeria, we have our cultural identity. If you come to Ghana, they have theirs. If you go to Rwanda, every group of persons have their cultural identities. They have certain things that are protected that makes them distinct from other people. That is what is their culture, a way of life of the people. The way you dance, your dressing, your language, your artworks. Just recently, the I think a museum in Britain has released some of the Benin artworks that were taken. I'll use the word taken loosely during the colonial times. Now, this is something that the people of Benin in Edo State in Nigeria have as their cultural identity. It is their right to own it. So cultural right tends to protect that. So you see persons online always bickering on braid, saying braids are for blacks and things like that. So they are trying to protect their cultural identity through the expression of fashion. So Ankara wears brocade, lace, and things like that. Some persons will tell that they belong to a certain society. So they have a right. People have a right under the International Convention for Economic, Social, and Cultural Rights of 1966. Cultural rights are actually protected. Group rights came in from more or less from African Charter for Human and People's Rights, which was accepted or moved in 1981, which came into force in 1981 in Africa. Then every African country had their time to what to now domesticate it. Now, I think in Nigeria it was in 1984 that it was domesticated in Nigeria. In either case, what are group rights? Group rights are rights that people hold as a group of people, not just individually. Now, they are rights to self-determination. That is, if you want to become independent, if a group of person wants to become independent, they have a right to do that. If a community wants to become autonomous, they should have a right to do that. We also have right to development. The right to development is the right for a group of persons to pursue their development in terms of infrastructural listen, facilities, in terms of roads, in terms of healthcare. You know, you see persons as a community suing for these things. That is your right to develop your area. The right that your government has, no, the right that you have to mandate your government to develop your area. So group rights are not held individually. It is usually held as a group. So a group of persons can come together to protect their interests, and that is a group that those are group rights. So rights can be acquired from different ways. Now, from what we have here, we have from the law, from contractual obligations. Now, rights that are acquired from law can be subdivided into legislation, customary law, case laws, and all of that. Or even international treaties. Those are all types of laws. So under the UNDHR that we have looked at, we're going to see so many rights under its articles. I think from articles 2 to 22 and so much more, you would see so many rights there, and other under so many other international treaties where you are going to see so many rights that are there in your national laws. You know, your national constitutions, different acts of the federal government, and all of that. You see laws, and those laws give rights to parties, give rights to consumers. Consumer Protection Act will give rights to consumers. Company and Allied Matters Act will give rights to company. We will give some rights to directors and shareholders. You know, those are rights that are acquired under the law. Now we also have customary laws, which are laws that have acquired the weight of the law due to accepted usage. So because some persons have used some certain principles over a period of time, it has acquired the position and the weight of law. In that particular instance, you would agree with me that all these laws give rights, and those rights are valid. People enjoy them or people use them to get what they want. Now, under contractual obligations, these are rights that ordinarily would not have existed had you not entered into the contract. So, if I am a car dealer and someone comes to my car shop to pay for a car, the moment I accept the money, I now have a duty to supply the car, and then the buyer now has a right to my supplying of that car. Ordinarily, before that, we would not have had rights and duties. Do you understand? So, in that particular instance, rights are acquired under contractual obligations. Parties allot to themselves obligations, rights, and duties, and these are what individuals have agreed under terms and conditions in a contract. If you have gained value so far, please subscribe, share, comment, and like this video, and stick around for other topics. We are going to also continue looking at other courses in law in in um in future videos. Bye.